Hi everyone, ladies and gentlemen. We can start this session. And I wanted to introduce the first speaker. The first speaker is, one second. I'm sorry, I have the wrong program. Okay. 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 Vabbè. The first speaker of this session is Alessandro Presan, who will speak about a paper completed with Tania Congiu, Viola Fornesu, myself, and we will speak about planning strategies and practices for accessibility in peripheral sparsely populated areas, a spatial knowledge interpretation approach. So Alessandro, the floor is yours, and welcome to everyone. I can see Milena, Avriki, and a follower register. We don't see the name, but welcome to everyone.
Tell also them that they are leaving.
Okay. For technical reason, I'm really sorry, but I have to leave, and my place will be replaced by Alessandro, and Alessandro gone in chairing this session. Okay. So, Alessandro, the floor is yours.
Thank you, everybody. And I'm going to present a research work, a work in progress that is a sort of a research project funded by the region of Sardinia, and it focuses on sustainable and smart mobility options to plan peripheral sparsely populated areas. In short, I will name it SPA because it's too long, but I'm talking about rural areas and places with very low population density. So our intention is to try to imagine a special, sorry, just to change the settings of the.
We don't see anything. Okay.
No. See. And this territories needs a different spatial model because we see the problems that affected this kind of territories. But our intention is to plan this spatial organization through a networked system of accessible nodes. Peripheral sparsely populated areas, we start from the assumption that the development of this kind of territories and areas depends from the core economies that provide the universal, fundamental and basic services. So our approach seeks the proximity not only in the compact cities but around the compact cities, especially in this kind of territories, and promote sustainable mobility. The goal of this work is to promote the interconnection among several nodes to create a sort of network that links the places of greater potential in terms of services and attractiveness, with a special focus with the user-generated content. And the second goal is to improve the accessibility to basic services and the use of environmental and cultural resources. To achieve this, we outline two operational objectives: the systematization of the three typology of knowledge that we cope with, that are the expert, local, and web knowledge, and the implementation of a sustainable mobility planning at a functional area scale. The outputs of this project that was funded by the region of Sardinia, the name is TSULTI project, and it's an acronym of Tourism and Sustainability in Sulci Siglesiente, refers to a region in Sardinia, in southwestern Sardinia, that shows us several contradictions. We can see in these two maps a natural environment of great public interest that it is attested by protection and spatial management tools on the right, but in the same time we see a lot of several abandoned areas that are severely degraded by the mining and the industrial activities. And this decline, of course, is clearly evidenced by demographic indicators, disappeared population, high average age, and low employment. The employment is quite all concentrated in tourism and service sector. These are the work package of the process. We start with the first step, that is the reference framework. The reference framework allows us to understand the coherence among planning, programming, and financing instruments. And we consider several plans like regional landscape plan, touristic regional plan, and so on. But our attention was mainly focused on two financing instruments of the region of Sardinia, that are the SUCIS plan and the regional smart specialization strategy of the region of Sardinia. And we can note from these outputs that the ICT sectors registered half of the co-funded project. And the main achievements are in the tourism, cultural, and environmental sector, to digitize and organize the market processes. But in the same time, we know that in Sulci Siglesiente region, there is a scarcity of enterprises that benefits from this funding because of a low innovation index. And this is a clear representation that there is a lack of capacity of cooperation among stakeholders. The second step is the context analysis. The analysis of settlement patterns in terms of appearance, uses, distribution of resources and services is crucial for us because allow us to define the organizational and functional perimeters to describe the possible organization of the spatial networks of accessibility nodes. And to do this, we use two kinds of data. We compare different kinds of data. The first are data from formal that come from formal and informal authorities and bodies databases, but the other one are data that comes from multimedia knowledge. And the aim is, first of all, to understand the existing system of connection, in particular the system of the services and mobility, but the multimedia knowledge allow us to understand the level of attractiveness of the area. To do this, we use GIS tool and application, OpenStreetMap application in particular, for example, Map Scraper, Field Paper, Mapillary, and other instruments. And these are useful because, for example, Field Paper is useful when you have no connection. And in this area, it's very frequent that you have no connection. So you have to represent data and elements, and so it's important to use this kind of instruments. The second one is mapillary, that makes street level images and map data available to automatic mapping. So it allows also to represent the different kind of elements you see during while you are walking through the pathways, and the different elements, but also the different kind of shapes that you see. Then there are other tools. For example, an application for OpenStreetMap that is for Airbnb, that allow us to understand the presence of the accommodation facility. We see here the region. For example, I look in this hamlet that is called Nebida, and we see that there are different accommodation structure, for example this, and we can investigate how many rooms, how many beds, how many guests, how many toilets, and so on. Another application related to OpenStreetMap allow us to investigate the most photographed location. Here we have, for example, the Pandizzucchero rock that is very famous in this area. You will see the rocks, but we can see other images in this area. And so this multimedia knowledge allow us to confront, to compare different kind of data and information. So the third step is the definition and implementation of a spatial organization model. We consider this not just an organization model, not only an organization model, but we consider a sort of interpretative device of the knowledge, of the spatial knowledge, to co-plan, to plan together accessibility routes at different level of knowledge and scales. To plan this system, this model, this network system of accessibility nodes, we need to do three things. The first is to detect the nodes and the related attributes. So note that each node refers to an inhabited location as surveyed by ISTAT Institute. And each node is characterized by a number of attributes. These attributes could be of two types, two typology: contextual attributes and general attributes. So the nodes with contextual attributes has played a generative role in the past mining activities, and it could be that now this role is conceived. So it's very important to understand the role that has this place in the past. The second typology is the nodes with general attributes, that refers to three kinds of attributes. So we have nodes with special accessibility attributes, nodes with functional accessibility attributes, and nodes with sociocultural accessibility attributes. Before to describe the attributes, the other two steps are to explore the node relationship for node recognition, organization, and management, and the identification of the key actors and stakeholders for each node. So we have a lot of attributes. So given the variety of these attributes, we consider quantitative and qualitative measure using, for example, the binary system. So if we consider, for example, the second one, connectivity of the public transportation system, that is measured by connection provided by public transportation, we put 0 in absence of the service and 1 if we have at least one connection, and then we go on for further exploration. The fourth step is the classification and the organization of the knowledge. We run some surveys and selection of basic data from which to draw information for each descriptive attributes of the nodes. So we collect data from regional registers, archives, and so on. But it was also important, the direct surveys in the field and through interviews, because one of the most hard operations to do was to verify the enterprises that are in the region with a registered office. So we have to check and verify the street number of the location where the enterprise was. Anyway, an instruction set ensures us that the data are collected in a self-contained and replicable manner. The last step is the model testing. So we identified a microstructure of the SPA between the urban centers of Iglesias, that is the capital city with Carbonia of this region, and has about 26,000 inhabitants. Bugero in the coast that has about 1,000 inhabitants, and Flumini Maggiore in the inner side of this in this microstructure that has about 2,500 inhabitants. So the focus is on this central infrastructure that is a sort of route that is central in the connection between the coast and the inner area, where are a lot of hamlets. Think that here we have hamlets that have from 200 inhabitants till 15 inhabitants. So it's very important that these hamlets can don't lose population and have the services to stay to a good quality of life in the region. So we would like to strengthen the network of the strategic potential nodes, connecting the coast and the inner areas, but in the same time, the connection between the production system and historical settlement. To do this, we have three kinds of intervention, and I'm going to the conclusion. The first are the crowdsourcing and user-generated content technology. The second is with the others intervention, but these are the main, an integrated platform for mobility management through demand management, and the organization and management of stable and temporary services. This is an example, but also a limitation of this work, because we have planned a sort of simulation about this, the timetable of the itinerant project service, but we have not tested. So to summarize, with this work, we would like to achieve three practical things. First of all, we would like to know and assess the tangible networks, such as the basic services, and the intangible ones, such as the environmental or landscape resources. Second, to connect the local production and businesses through integrated projects to strengthen and dematerialize the local economic system. And the dematerialization of the local economic system is one of the goals that the smart specialization strategy foster in region like in peripheral region like this. And third, to represent and maximize the potential knowledge-based development of the SPA and their existing network. We know that this work has several limitations, starting from the difficulties in identifying and verifying all the enterprises, but also the difficulties in assessing the implication of these general strategies financial strategy for one specific SPA. But we trust that in the next time, in the future, we can go further and go on with the implementation of this project. Thank you. If you have some question on any clarification, I'm pleased to answer. Okay. Yes. Okay. Any question, or we can go on on the second?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
Thank you for the interesting presentation. I had the chance to visit Cagliari 2 years ago. So
sorry, Milena, could you speak close to the microphone, please, because it's a little bit hard to understand you.
Okay. I have been to Cagliari 2 years ago, and I'm familiar with the context. Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfectly now. Yes.
Okay, so my question is about this dematerialization of local economic systems. Can you give me an example? I'm not familiar with this term.
No. I start with the idea. The idea is to not only for a Sulcis-Iglesiente region or SPA in general, but for rural area in general. All the financial strategies promote in some cases this dematerialization. For example, I told in the first slide that the ICT sector is one of the most founded topics for this kind of territory. So they try to dematerialize their economies by the digitalization and the organization of the markets, of the local markets, of course. But the idea, I think that this is one of the options that the smart specialization strategy is giving to these territories by funding, by giving them resources. But the idea is to make smart the rural areas. So in a sort of what can I see? Exchange of services from rural areas. We have this kind of ecosystem services, natural and environment and cultural services. And in the city, we have other basic important services. So the point is to make these two needs in a sort of equilibrium that can consider not only proximity in the city, but the proximity in all the functional area of the cities. So this is our idea to develop these core economics of the rural areas that are so important for development, for their development, and the maintaining of their basic services. I hope that I.
Yes, I understood the point. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So, if we don't have any question, I go with the second presentation. The second presentation is spatial data management and scenario planning for sketching sustainable future trails in insular territories, the case study of Milos Island, Greece. And the floor is for Akriti Lekka, Iota Theodora, and Anastasia Strategea.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Have a nice afternoon. Just a second to share the presentation. I am Akrivi Leka from National Technical University of Athens, and together with Yota Fodora and Anastasia Strategea, which are professors at the same institute, we did this work. The work deals with the way that the spatial data management and scenario planning can provide the means for a foresight exercise in order to develop sustainable paths in insular territories. The case study is a Greek island, Milos Island. If you don't have a plan, if you don't have an orientation, if you don't have a target, every path can take you there. There is no smart, sustainable, and resilient island in the absence of an appropriate planning and monitoring. This work focuses on planning, and especially in planning tools like spatial data management, scenario planning, and at the end, a multi-criteria evaluation happens in order to choose the best case scenario. The 21st century is the century of sustainability, and planning is strongly connected with the term of sustainability. Sustainability is a vague concept with different understandings and interpretations by many groups like citizens, NGOs, local government, etc. There is a lot of argue about it, but the balance among the three pillars is highly dependent on the specific conditions of the area. We are talking about Mediterranean islands with all those peculiarities, we can say that Mediterranean islands face different challenges compared to islands in the northern Atlantic. Their environments are fragile because of the climate change. Mediterranean Sea is a hotspot for climate change. They offer unique economic opportunities referring to land and sea resources. Concerning the connectivity, can be a critical factor, the way that it happens within the island and between the island and the mainland. The islands have different institutional frameworks due to different historical and political scenes that exist in each island. They are unique for their cultural and social assets, and most of them are based in the tourism sector, and that is negative for the environment because of the pressure the sector has, and most of them are not energy independent. The key pillars of our work include the sketching of the external decision environment, and because the sustainability is a moving target in the policy agenda, there are different situations and contemporary challenges, let's say, related to climate change, the resilience. The current policy is the UN Agenda 2030. Concerning the European policies, we have the Green Deal, the Blue Growth, and the territorial cohesion. The tourist market changes. We have phenomena of over-tourism, especially in many Greek islands at the moment. And the planning tools, as I said at the beginning, that are used are the scenario planning and the multi-criteria evaluation. The external environment and the policies at the global and the European level both lead to a place-based approach. There is overall a need for a reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, and the climate neutrality are at the heart of the UN agenda. Also, the climate action for adapting all the strategies for the climate change impacts all those are implementing a number of SDGs. Here we mention only the basic European policy directions. We have the Green Deal, which is a strategy that describes more green and sustainable development paths. We have the blue growth and the territorial cohesion as well. Now, the methodological steps. We have two streams. The outcome of those two streams is our scenarios. The first stream refers to the external decision environment, the global and the European policy, as well as the national scenery. We took into account decisions regard to policies for renewable energy, for aquaculture, for industry and tourism, in order to set the key uncertainties that were used in the Milos Island, of course, under the umbrella of the green growth path and the blue growth path. The internal environment refers to the existing current situation of the study area, the natural cultural resources, available resources, the socioeconomic profile, and all those we took into account in order to structure and develop the 4 scenarios with the rationale of the 2 uncertainty axes. At last, we did the ranking of those scenarios alternatives in order to choose the best one. Some words about the Milos Island. Milos Island is situated in the south part of Aegean Sea, and it belongs to Cyclades complex. Its population is about 5,000 inhabitants, and traditional sectors are tourism, mining, and fishing. The local economy gradually shifting towards tertiarized tertiarized, and that's a red sign for us, considering also the tourism accommodation pattern that displays concentration in specific settlements and gives signs of surpassing carrying capacity in the respective settlements. Here also we see the mining activity all over the study area, and something very important, half area of the island is natural protected areas. Our scenario building followed the rationale of the 2 uncertainty axes, scenario planning. The horizontal axis refers to the blue growth, and the vertical axis refers to the green growth. So here are the 4 scenarios. The first scenario is the scenario with lowest interventions. We follow just the trend. It's a trend-based growth. And the 4th scenario follows an holistic approach that takes in full consideration green and blue growth green and blue growth. Here are the main characteristics of the 4 scenarios. We see here just, I won't analyze all of them, just to mention a little for the first scenario, that is a limited growth of the primary sector, and it keeps the enhancement of traditional activities. It maintains the mass tourism model, and there is a low renewable energy penetration. On the contrary, at the 4th scenario, we have a penetration of renewable energy. We follow smart and sustainable mobility paths. We promote energy saving in the building stock. We upgrade the island's infrastructure. We try to balance sectoral development and to promote organic production and fishing activities. We upgrade the ferry connection, and the most important, one of the most important things is that we try to keep a balance between the mass and then alternative tourism development by using alternative types of tourism development like agrotourism, conference tourism connected with the mining activity, etc. Now, concerning the evaluation method, we use the regime multi-criteria analysis, and here we can see the 17 criteria used. They are divided in 3 main categories, the 3 pillars of sustainability: society, environment, and economy. Those 17 criteria are qualitative, with a range from 3- to 3+. For example, if a criterion takes the value of the 3+, it's very positive to the respective scenario. And we have also another evaluation system, the binary one, that means yes or no. 3 of the criterion follows that system, and we did 3 distinct rankings with 3 different weighting schemes. At the first scheme, we took equal weights. At the second scheme, we gave priority in environmental criteria, and the third scheme, we gave priority in the economic criteria. As we see from the final results, scenario 4 displays the highest performance, and that's and this is the best scenario because it follows the holistic approach of the sustainable development pattern. Here we can see the spatial development of the prevailing scenario.
Could you go to the conclusion? We have a few minutes just to conclude. Thank you.
Yes, of course. In concluding, just to say that the focus of the present study is to set the ground for a foresight exercise with a case study in Milos Island in order to be a useful tool for sustainable paths. Green and blue policy directions can lead to a visionary developmental perspective. Current policy direction combining with new technologies can lead to sustainable and resilient future paths. Europe, and especially Mediterranean islands, are currently confronted with great challenges and dilemmas, but a dedicated, spatially designated and future-oriented proactive efforts towards sustainable paths can support the development of those communities. Of course, this should be designed on the basis of a place-based approach. And for the end, just to mention that the stakes that need to be served in a local and a regional level and the land use conflicts in both can highly conflicts referring to land and the sea can be successfully dealt by using this methodology for scenario planning. Thank you very much. I'm ready to hear your question or comments.
Thank you very much, Akriti, and it's very for your interesting presentation. And we have a lot of similarity because I was speaking about Sardinia, that is an island. Milos is another island, but the difference is the population, because the 5,000 people is not like we are not so much, because we are 1,006,100. So
big difference.
Anyway, the problems and the opportunities are quite the same. So I was wondering if your interesting work consider also the starting from that that each place can have a comparative advantage from their resources, their own resources. I was wondering if you consider also the cooperation between islands. I don't know if this study can go in that direction also.
Thank you for the question. Of course, it can be extended to that path. No, we didn't see the connection with the other islands. We just show the potential and the comparative resources within the island. We just studied only the transportation connections. And we also studied the local economy, the export of the products, but not the connections with the other islands overall.
Thank you very much. There are other questions for Akriti. Akriti is the name.
Yes, Akriti means valuable in Greece.
Fantastic. Okay. Other question, or otherwise we can go on the third presentation. That is assessing the tourism footprint in the Dodecanese complex, Greece, an islands typology approach. Dionysia Kutsi, Anastasia Santigea, and Apostolos Lagarias.
Yes, can you hear me?
The floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay. Just let me know when you can see also the PowerPoint to make sure that everything is set correctly. Can you hear me?
See, you can go on.
Okay, perfect. So good morning, everyone from Greece as well. I'm really happy to be here. Unfortunately, not in Hanoi, but in ICCSA conference for one more year. I'm going to present some key results connected also with my PhD research in the National Technical University of Athens. And to delve into the background of the work, our research is placed also in the emerging dialogue upon the tourism rapids growth that already Akriti said some things in her presentation as well. As in the last decade, these increasing flows have raised the concerns about how destinations are growing, and especially destinations that have some limited resources like island regions. In fact, we are interested a little bit further on the relationships of tourism and the environment in which it takes place, because tourism is defined and occurs and refers to a place. It consumes an occupied space, so it's responsible for some negative implications on land. And at the same time, and here is the paradox of this relationship, the local characteristics of landscape, for example, enhance the attractiveness of the place, so it attracts more tourism activity. So all these aspects raise these concerns and place islands at the center of attention. Under this context, our research is based on the need to assess and evaluate the current tourism implication on island space, and more specifically, to build a methodology that can support us as urban planners and regional planners to plan more effectively to achieve sustainability goals and protect at the same time islands' vulnerable and valuable hosting space. To support this, our methodology is based on building an integrated system of indicators that can highlight this aforementioned relationship and use them to build an island typology that can, in future development, support policy making and sustainability goals for insular regions. After Sardinia and Milos, I'm doing this travel for you to an island complex of Greece, in Dodecanese Island Complex, which is an island complex of 15 island municipalities near the borders with Turkey. So we're talking about a region that it has geopolitical importance, but at the same time, because of the mix of multiple islands in terms of size, population, and tourism profile, it has some significant inter-regional inequalities. Just to understand the context, here you can see at the table the different sizes of the island and also using data from 2019, the arrivals that we can see in each of them, and in general. It's an area hosts around 200,000 people and attracts more than 3.8 million visitors. Most of them are gathered in the islands of Kos and Rhodes, but steadily, especially after COVID, we saw a lot of destinations rising in terms of their tourism attractiveness. Here in the maps, available georeferenced data show us the distribution of tourism-related activities and provide us with the current image of how these are placed on land. Here we can see that with green, we can see the hotel accommodations, and with red, we can see the Airbnb accommodations. So just to have a first image before delving into the indicators, we can see that this activity is mostly concentrated on the coastal zone of these islands. And here in the zoomed maps, where you can see Rhodes, one of the most attractive one in terms of tourism, we can see the concentration here, but also small Patmos, which is this one, and Leros, which is this one, already own some significant activity on land in terms of tourism. So we will see now in more detail how these have been affected their social and environmental reality. In more detail, the methodology that we are going to use is presented here in the diagram and consists of 3 concrete stages. First of all, in the first stage, we have the collection and selection and elaboration of a mix of indicators that can show us the tourism, that they are tourism related and also spatial related, in order to see how the mix of these indicators can present the current reality of the islands. Then in stage 2, with the use of SPSS and QGIS applications, we did a cluster analysis that, let's say, gathered and find the similarities and commonalities of the aforementioned indicators. And finally, interpretation of the results in stage 3 guide us in structuring an island's typology based on island-specific tourism footprint. All these results finally makes us wonder and also make sure if these kind of typologies are finally useful for supporting island-specific policy formation. Here in the table, you can see the whole list of the 14 indicators formed. Time limitation doesn't allow me to go in a lot of details on that, but I totally endorse you when our paper is published to read and see exactly the calculations made and the specific context of each of them. Data on current accommodation supply, including both commercial and non-commercial types, annual tourism arrivals in hotels and Airbnb, annual arrivals by air and sea were used, while increased seasonality in TAF 7 was observed. So we calculated a specific indicator to explore how population density changes during the period between May and October, which is the most intense period for islands tourism in Greece. When we are talking about density, then the data is divided by the area of the space and the size of the island, and intensity is divided by the total population of the island municipality. So this is the indicators about tourism related, and then indicators on land use were also used. That showed the environmental fragility, which is the Natura 2000 network area covered on islands. We have the agricultural loss indicator, expansion of the built environment, and also the build-up areas that are already evident by using European databases. There's a very extensive list, so please contact us to learn more about the data used if you are more interested further on that. So the first results of stage 1. Here we can see the table of the first 7 indicators. The key results that I'm highlighting here is that the implications of tourism on the Dekanese Islands are already there and are significant and have affected these islands. It is interesting to point that small islands and very small islands experience impacts more intensive in their social structure. So tourism intensity is more evident, for example, in Nisyros, Simi, and in Nisyros, Tilos and Chalki Island in TAF 2, while when we are talking about density, the medium-sized islands score higher, like Rhodos, Kos, and Leros in T3. When we are talking about tourism flows and the number of people going to the islands, the influence is more intense in highly rated destinations already, but also in destinations that are steadily attracting more and more people, especially after COVID, like Patmos, for example, or Simi and Chalki, that also are scoring higher in these indicators. The population change is also very intense in the already mass tourism destinations like Kos and Rhodos, but also we can see Karpathos, that is rising also really high, close to Rhodos as well. When we are talking about the Airbnb, which is a reality that came in Greece, at least I would say the last 5 years in more intense, we can see that small islands like Astipali, Nisyros, Tilos, Kassos, but also Rhodos are already hosting a very large number of Airbnb beds compared to their population and size. And build-up expansion, when we are going to the spatial indicators, build-up expansion rate in TAF 13 is over 8% in Kos, Simi, Leros, Karpathos, and Megisti, all small and very small islands. And this fact confirms that tourism development has an ongoing and accelerating spatial footprint, already affecting small, not necessarily mass well-known tourism destinations. And it's an alarming point, especially for proactive planning when we're talking about destinations. And this is also a reality according to the results of TAF 14 and the agricultural loss, where small islands seems to lose significantly more of their agricultural land compared to the larger ones. At stage 2, we conduct the cluster analysis and to group these islands into categories and specific groups with same characteristics. We stopped the analysis at the 5 clusters because more will not highlight grouping and less, for example, would not present the diversity that we wanted to see. So this is the 5 clusters that occurred. The first cluster with green is Agathonisi, Lipsi, and Kassos, peripheral islands in other bigger ones, and they're islands with limited tourist influence till today. Then in cluster 2, we have islands with significant Airbnb presence and high environmental vulnerability, which is the purple one, Astipali, Anissyros, Tilos, Chalki, and Karpathos. And in cluster 3, we have rapidly increasing locally driven tourism growth with limited seasonality in Kalymnos and Leros. So we have here 2 islands that keeps a population growth and the build-up areas increases in more steady, let's say, pace, and there are available agricultural land. In cluster 4, we have islands with high tourism performance, and this is interesting because we were expected to see here Kos and Rhodos, but it seems like Megisti, which is the smallest island of the group, the smallest municipality of the group, to react with the same way like this in terms of how tourism have impacted and its social and environmental structure. So this is a very core, let's say, outcome of this process. And the final cluster, cluster 5, where Simi and Patmos are included, each reference to the dynamic tourist destinations growing at a steady pace. And this typology, in this typology, these islands present a stable population and built-up areas growth, but important Airbnb development at the same time, and very high tourism density. So they are entering, let's say, dynamically the tourism arena. So in order to conclude, the results of this work showed us that it is very important to include the spatial dimension in order to understand the footprint of the tourism sector, especially when we are talking about developed or developing destinations, and especially island destinations. It is important but not only the spatial dimension, but how this is connected and related with tourism-specific indicators in order to see how the combination of these 2 parts can show us the reality of our cases. Especially when we're talking about islands, and in this group, we can see the diversity between the different island regions. Place-based approaches is very important, not only when we are planning, but also when we are assessing and evaluating the current position of each place. One of the key results of this research is that small islands are very vulnerable in comparison with larger islands to social and spatial implications due to tourism overload. So we can see that smaller increases have a higher impact, and this should be a key aspect of policy making. In order to understand better why the typology that we developed is important, we also did a comparison with the existing typology of the special framework of spatial planning and sustainable development of Greece. And we saw that the 5 clusters that they use is very different in terms of definition and very different in terms of the islands included there. So we strongly support that there is a need for a more solid scientific methods to be adapted to support policy making. And these estimations, in collaboration with plans that are related with carrying capacity, is a really critical starting point for well-established ground for planning sustainable future of the island regions. Thank you very much, and I'm here for any questions.
Thank you very much, Dionysia, and for your interesting presentation. If someone wants to ask a question for Dionysia. Okay, anybody? We go further with the last presentation. I had some question, but maybe just not a question, but I'm curious to know about which is the distribution of the basic services in this archipelago of island, because I think that the conflict between people, the inhabitants, and the tourism start from that. And so I would like to know, I don't know exactly how is the composition of the island, but I would like to know where are the basic services, where are and if they work together or in separate way.
You mean the different, where are the services, the different services related to tourism or in general?
No, in general, basic services for the people, for inhabitants and tourists.
In the Greek, because we found two very big, large islands. This archipelago, it's different from Cyclades because we find very two big islands and then a lot of smaller ones. So all of the services are in Kos and Rhodes in the two central islands, and we have the peripheral ones that has strong relationship and they depend on the bigger islands. We can find some services, less schools, for example, and very small hospitals in the medium-sized islands, but they are never capable. So there are a lot of discussion, especially in the tourist season, that these small islands cannot fulfill the demands of the increasing population because the services are even not enough for the local population that maybe is 500 people. So there is a really critical concern on that.
Thank you very much. I present the fourth research paper that is relevant of structural conditions in the sustainable management and the reuse of historical military buildings, an interdisciplinary approach. I leave the floor to there is someone here, Elisa Pilia, Giovanna Concu, Donatella Fiorino, Emanuele Reccia, and Daniel Meloni. Anybody is in the room? Okay, so I'm sorry for that, but we follow on with the last intervention from Milena Markova. The title is Onomatopoeia Architecture as a Placemaking Tool for Sustainable Smart Cities Learning from Kengo-Kuma Projects. Milena, the floor is yours. I can't hear you, Milena. No, I can't hear you. We can't hear you. No, your
Sorry,
microphone
can you...
is... Okay, perfect.
Sorry. Can I have a question about Dionysia?
Yes, I asked before. Yes, we have time for all the questions you like.
And one more, I have one more question, because I think my camera is not very good. Maybe it's better to switch off my camera. What do you think? I hope it's, I don't know, it looks to me like it's very, very bad quality. So what do you prefer? Should I switch my camera or it's okay to stay?
we don't have problem, but if you have problem, you can switch your camera, don't worry.
Okay, just let me know if my camera starts to be very strange, let me know and I will switch it off. So Dionysia and Akrivi, I was really interested to hear your presentations because Greek islands are very precious to me. I always go there to enjoy my vacation, and I noticed the really bad impact of tourism. Last year, I went to Mykonos first, and then I went to Amorgos. And for me, Mykonos is a bad example of tourist development. Amorgos, I really loved it. So my question is, what is the opinion of the local people? Because many times you have this paradox. From urban planning point of view, we can say restrict tourism to small islands, but how about the local people opinion on that?
Thank you very much for the question. And it's something that concerns us here as plannering is in Greece very, very much. There's a lot of conferences, discussions, researches that dealing with what we can do in order to prevent islands to be Mykonized, because how they are Mykonized, it's a term that is always, let's say, used more and more. So there is not a direct answer to your question, because people are experiencing really differently the summer in Greece. For example, till recently, also in my vacations and the discussion that I had with them, they have the essence that, okay, it's just 1 month, it will pass and we will find our calm rhythms again, which is something that, okay, you say it's not my daily life. It's like I stop my life, I wait, I work, and then I leave my island again. But now, because all small islands are increasingly welcoming more and more visitors and tourists, there is a lot of protests against tourism already in islands like Paros. For example, last year we had the movement of the umbrella, where they go to beaches and they stand for their space at the beach because they couldn't find a place to go for a swim. So there's always reactions and a lot of anxiety of what is coming. So but at the same time, they have experienced for several years not very good conditions in their everyday life. And tourism is a very easy way to gain profit. So I think they are also divided. They want to have money and an easier life because being an a farmer in an island, it's really, really difficult. And if you can just work for 2 months, how, even as policymaker, how you can change this narrative? So I think it's a complex answer, but the concern is there and it's already expressed.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, we have quite a similar issue in the Black Sea. We have a small island, Nesebar, which is a UNESCO cultural heritage, a World Heritage Site. But the funny thing is the local people want to take out the designation. They don't want to be World Heritage Site because of the limitations to their design, to their development. So we have this, amazing contradiction of appreciation. So yeah, it's not easy. It's a complex fight, I guess. Thank you. So my talk will be very different from all of you. I hope you will find something useful in it. And let me share my presentation. I'm going to talk as an architect about architecture, and
Milena, excuse me. Could you put the presentation in full screen, please?
Yes. Yes, I can do that. Can you see now?
No, it's the same. You have to share your
Oh, okay. I will try. I will try to share again. So I have to share the entire screen, I guess. Is it better now?
No, it's the same. I don't know exactly how to do.
Yes, I'm not very familiar.
They told me that you have to share the entire screen
and then put full presentation.
and then put full presentation. Puoi finire questa lo dici glielo fai dal vivo.
Okay, so to share the entire screen. Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry for that.
Okay.
The entire screen.
Yes.
And then can you, maybe it will take a bit. Can you see my screen now?
Not still yet.
I shared the entire screen and then I put the presentation. Maybe.
So you can also share the screen as before.
Yeah, sorry.
You cannot see your screen, so it's okay like this. Thank you.
This, okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
We can see this.
Yeah, sorry. At the base of your screen, you have the base on the right base of that one. Yes. Try to put it. No, anything changed. So start, please, because we don't have time to.
Can you
wait.
see my screen now?
Yeah, we see, but not in a full size. So you can go on. Thank you.
Okay. So I will talk about, as an architect, about architectural design approach by a Japanese architect. And I find the architect can influence the development of small, fragile communities. And Kengo Kuma, I have the chance to meet him, invited him to visit my university and in Bulgaria. I was teaching in Bulgaria before, and I had a very good opportunity to understand his design approach, and I found a lot of interesting interesting way in his design approach, which I want to share with you. So my plan, first I will make introduction about Japan. I was living and working in Japan for 13 years. I was involved in many projects about island fragile issues.
I'm sorry, Milena, I'm sorry again.
Yeah.
We see only the first slide, so we don't see the other slide.
I see.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I can't see your desktop. So.
Yes. I think, yeah, I'll try. Can you see the second slide now?
Here we are. Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you.
So first I will make a small introduction, then I will talk about his design philosophy, the idea about onomatopoeia architecture. Then I will have one excerpt from the interview. I'll tell about projects which might be useful with the theme of the workshop. And I will conclude with some implications for design of sustainable communities. First, to clarify the terminology, in Japan, fragile island means islands, almost all Japanese islands, they are affected by climate change. The earthquake and tsunami hit happens to all the islands. The small islands are hit by economic decline. There is the nuclear plant vulnerability, as you remember from 2011 disaster. The small islands are hit by depopulation and aging. And even big islands, there are areas, even the main Honshu Island, Tokyo and Osaka, the big cities are growing, but there are many areas which are depopulating, economically declining, and heavily aging. Japanese society is one of the most aging in the world. So Japan thinks for many, many years about SMART, and my talk is about the social and environmental human factors which are necessary to be considered in developing smart cities and islands. The architects can play a significant role in their architectural practices by integrating community engagement within the design process and prioritize the considerations for a harmonious environmental impact. I believe sustainable placemaking needs to be a presumption for any smartness in fragile insular spatial context, and this should be the backbone for the development of technological applications. So I consider sustainable placemaking as architectural and urban design strategy, where the architect is moderator between community and place to co-create with community socially, culturally, and environmentally sustainable spatial interventions. This means a vivid network, a balanced relationship between humans, nature, and technology. And I decided to talk about Kengo Kuma because his engagement with locality, natural materials, building traditions, and community is worth exploring. And the smartness in small-scale insular context can be triggered by work of architects who are engaging with local craftsmen, local residents, to mediate a process of mutual cross-pollination and co-design. There is a kind of interesting question about the influence in terms of architectural design and philosophy between East and West. Japanese influenced the development of modernism in Europe and the US. At the same time, the European modernist concepts and ideas influenced Japanese understanding. So it's very curious flux of interactive relationships between which happens all the time. And the Japanese architects claim that Western architecture is about volumetric objects, about physical space, while Japanese architecture is about spatial relationships and voids, empty spaces. And one of the key terms in Japanese architecture and design is ma, which the first time was introduced by Arata Isozaki in Paris in 1978. It created a huge wave of interest among architects, and now it has been revived in Japan House in Los Angeles and the Japanese Embassy in Tehran. So basically, the debate on space and time as the intersection of experience can have implications for many other fields. And Kengo Kuma is an interesting case because he received his education in the US and Japan, and he tried to rethink Japanese tradition from the Western point lenses in a way. So after he came back from USA to Japan, he wanted to question the dominant presence of architecture as dominating the landscape, and he wanted to eliminate this dominant presence. As a young architect, he made a lot of experiments. The first one failed. However, this is one of his early design buildings when he tried to integrate architecture within the landscape. And
you have minutes to close your presentation because we have other presentation later. Sorry to interrupt you. Okay, thank you.
what?
Milena, you can start again.
Oh, I thought I was thinking you are telling me to close.
No, to close in few minutes, 3-4 minutes, please.
I see. Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, I see.
Yes, so this is one example how he created a building immersed in nature, and in this building was not hit by 2011 big devastation, earthquake and tsunami. He went on site and it was intact, so he was a kind of way predicting how to design with nature. And this, you can read about his projects with local community and thinking about designing with slow design. Designing with people takes long time. Now, Shima is a very interesting case as a deprived island who made a glorious rebranding by using art, architecture, and education. And the strongest point of Japanese approach of Kenkukumi is the importance of non-verbal communication, the symbiosis of image, sound, and embodied experience. To conclude, engaging all senses in any urban or rural project can have a beneficial effect on its potential to create a sense of emotional attachment to a place as a vital component for resilient community building. The approach of Kengo Kuma is an attempt to overcome the deficiency of contemporary architectural practices as overemphasizing the visual perception over the other senses, and it can major architectural practices contribute to an acute commodification of superficial consumative culture. So thank you very much. And yeah, I'm sorry with the problems with my presentation.
Thank you very much, Milena, for your fantastic presentation of the Kengo Kuma approach. That is not so far from the idea of enhancing the sense of identity of the island in particular, and so it's very close to our proposition for these territories that are island, but in different senses, as Dionysia told before. So we can start with the last presentation. Sorry, we don't have time because for question, because we are very late, and then there is another session. So we start with the last presentation of Elisa Pilia, Giovanna Concu, Donatella Fiorina, Luca Reccia, and Daniel Meloni. The title is The Relevance of Structural Condition in the Sustainable Management and the Reuse of Historical Military Buildings, an Interdisciplinary Approach. Please, Elisa, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I don't know if you can see my screen.
Yes, we see.
I'll try to put the presentation on. It's a little bit slow, but I think that it will work soon.
Yeah, remember that because of the technical problem that you have, we have not so much time for your presentation, and so you can. I ask you to close in 10 minutes, please.
Perfect. Okay. So thank you very much. Today I'm going to present you a part of what there is a paper who presents a part of a wider research, and you can see here the title. It's a paper, a research about historical defense heritage. We know that the Italian Ministry of the Defense builds heritage is a complex and diversified inheritance with high level of specialization. And we know that it is strictly connected with the safety regulations, distributed and centralized management of this heritage with an historical value. So it's a complex heritage, and it needs to reorganize all the system of information, because this entity, I mean, it needs to, the Ministry of the Defense needs to contain the public expenses, and also needs to administrate, in terms of intervention of maintenance and restoration, this military heritage. For that reason, we applied with a project called the Mass Chain. That it's a project, as you can see, that involves different departments, from the Department of Engineering and Architecture, but also the Department of Mathematics and Computer Science, the Department of Literature, Chemical and Geological Science, and so on, as you can see. And the main goal of this project is the creation of an innovative certified enterprise protective protocol for managing this complex heritage. But first of all, we can do that thanks to a functional and logistic models that we are going to create during this research. The main tool for this research is the DEF, the Digital Enhanced Folder, that it's a sort of innovative digital heritage files, like a sort of identification card of the monument or of these complexes, and it will be associated to the HBIM with the possibilities that this high-skilled technology can offer in order to digitalize and certify all the processes in the blockchain, so we can have the full life cycle of the buildings controlled and certified in this tool. As you can see here, the management and the research protocol is quite complex. Mainly, we are trying to define. I mean, we have the first year of the research. We are now approaching to the second phase. We had the possibility to define the taxonomic classification of functions of these spaces, but also the main aim was and is to define descriptors and indicators for monitoring and understanding, especially the state of conservation of this heritage. Everything will be tracked and certified through blockchains, through the blockchain method, and will be supported by other tools as the machine learning. But we are going now. I'm going to present you mainly the aim of this research presented in the paper. First of all, we tried to identify a set of descriptors that can combine all the information about the state of conservation of the building, both from the point of view of the safety, so from the point of view of the structural aspects, with the conservation points of view. And this was very important because thanks to this comparison and thanks to the synergy between of these two fields of research, we can define the priority index of intervention, taking so into account the aspects from the structural safety and the structural point of view, but combine this aspect with the conservation and restoration needs. And also from the priority of this index, we can also define the urgency of the conservation or transformation reuse, because of course this heritage can be preserved, can be conserved, but also it's possible to transform, reuse, abandon or dismantled complexes. For that reason, the protocol of the research is divided, as you can see, in 3 phases. We have closed now the first phase, and we are going to the second one. But in this first phase, we have studied all we have defined all the knowledge about from the sources, so historical archival sources, surveys, as you can see, technical performance analysis, and we have organized all the information from this analysis. The next step will be to monitor through the HBIM model and to design the strategies or the interventions. So we know that the management nowadays, the management of this heritage is very complex because there is a really complex and hierarchic organization of the Ministry of the Defense. There are several. I mean, we have studied especially the software and the data that the defense technical departments use in this moment for managing this heritage, of course, the normative sources. And we started from these tools, so the JPAD, that is the tool for managing this heritage, and we took from the JPAD all the data from the built structures, and the CART is the other tool for managing all the materials from the archives. As you can imagine, it's an historical built heritage, so we have also to consider the history of this heritage. So we have studied the typologies of the infrastructures, as you can see here, some examples, and we have associated to these typologies also the functional taxonomies. So we know exactly that in each typology of building there are several functions, and we know that these functions have several requirements, standards that we have to achieve in order to maintain these functions. But of course, the structural aspect is one of them. So as you can see, we tried to define descriptors. These descriptors are mainly from these different areas. As you can see, the history, the chronology, the morphological aspects, and so on. From different levels, from the complex to the unit, to the room, that is the smallest level of analysis. We have defined the descriptors, and as you can see, a very quick view of the table with all the information of these descriptors. And then we have applied these descriptors to several pilot sites. As you can see, these sites are from all the armed forces, so from the Army, from the Navy, the Air Force, the Carabinieri Army. But this is very important because it's a synergic research conducted for all the heritage owned by the Ministry of the Defense. As you can see here, the main case studies. This is the protocol of investigation. As I said, the main point, the focus of this paper was about the connection between structural and conservation needs. The knowledge acquisition process, as you can see, involves different steps from the collection data, the geometrical and structural surveys, the assessment of the materials, of course, and then, according to this analysis, we defined the parameters for the structural model. So we know more about the geometry, the structural details, the properties of the materials, and we applied it to a building that is included in a complex owned by the Army. What is the main aim? And in that sense, I'm going to conclude my presentation. This is the main achievement of this research, because now we can connect the image index. As you can see, the image index involves global and local aspects. And this image index that came from the structural aspects, the structural analysis, is connected with the degree of transformation. In this case, we know that the degree of transformation is strictly connected with the state of conservation of the buildings, but also with the possibility to transform it in terms of urbanistics and rules, listing rules, because of course these are historical buildings. So as you can see, we have defined the scores. So we have applied this table, this scores to our heritage, to these complexes, and we know exactly that scores with around 2014 is in high priority. So this complex needs to be involved in a process of transformation, and the priority is high. Then low priority is around 12 and 10. So now what we can do is to study our heritage and define the urgency and the priorities around their use, or anyway we can decide if conserve or if transform this built heritage. And I hope to be in the right time. Thank you very much.
Perfect time, Elisa, and thank you for your presentation, So, unfortunately, we don't have time for questions because we are a little bit late with the timetable. So, I thank you, everybody, for all of your interesting presentations, and I try to start the new session with this idea that we have a new kind of idea of sustainability for Ireland, that with the different souls that you have told today. Thank you very much, and see you in Italy or in your place. Now we are in Hanoi, so we are in the afternoon of rainy weather of Hanoi. So I hope that in your place is better. Thank you very much, and see you. Bye.
Thank you, and sorry for our delay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you, Milana. Bye.
Spengo il microfono.
So, do I need this or no?
No.
No, okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, so we can start session. Actually, Bernard Abduhan was supposed to be the chair, but he has some organizational duties for the gala dinner tonight. So he asked me to chair instead of him. That's why we have a last minute change, and I'll be helping you. So welcome to this session. We have some tracks from the general track, and we have a workshop, FISTA. We will start with Boris Mizonino and Alina Mateleva. Okay, so Boris is here, yes? Yes, if you're ready, you can share your presentation and we can start. We can't hear you, Boris, by the way, your microphone is off. Okay, we can see your, we saw your presentation, now it's down, but we can't hear you. Please turn on your microphone.
Good evening, dear colleagues, you see my presentation now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Dear colleagues, my name is Boris Nizamudinov, and I'm from ICCSA University, St. Petersburg, and my report today is development of value-based method for identifying priorities of city development programs. About my work, the proposed study describes an innovative method for ranking budget allocation and the effectiveness of urban development programs based on an analysis of residents' value arrangements. And in my work, I use social media data from social media. The central premise of the method is the idea that taking into account the value priorities of the population contributes to increasing social responsibility and existence of public spending. And what is urban development programs? It's a strategic plans and projects that are developed and implemented to promote sustainability and balanced urban development. They include a set of activities aimed at developing infrastructure, social service, economics, and other areas. For example, on this slide, I print some urban development programs. It's healthcare development, development of education, social support for citizens, and others. But often the prioritization of programs is based on expert assessment of statistical data without taking into account the real values and needs of residents. And it's a problem because we don't use real values our citizen. And I developed a new method for this for resolve this problem. The created method aims to eliminate this imbalance by offering a new way for analyzing using data from social network. For example, it's social media Facebook, social media Contact, and Google Maps and other social networks. This makes it possible to abandon traditional time-consuming and resource-intensive surveys, replacing them with innovative method of analyzing large amount of information, reflecting real values and all the needs of residents. Within the framework of the presented work, a fundamental new approach is proposed in the management of urban development program, which consists in taking into account the values of residents and their transformation into specific needs. For this purpose, a unique model has been developed that allows based on the analysis of data from social network to identify values of citizens. And on this slide, I print a general scheme of my model. The central idea of the model is to predict the user's value arrangement from social media based on the analysis of social profile data. For this,
excuse me one moment. We only see your first slide.
Okay, 1 minute. And now?
Yeah, now it's switched.
No,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you very much. The central idea of the model is to predict the user's value arranged based of analysis of his social profile data. For this purpose, regression analysis is used, which allows us to identify the relation between various characteristics of a user's profile on social networks and his value arrays, identifying using the Schwarz technique. For the first step, the following steps are used to create a predictive model. Data loading. First, the model loads a proposed data set with well-oriented and user profile information. Next step, data pre-processing includes data perfecting normalization of numerical features and conversion of categorical data into a format suitable for machine learning, for example. Identification and selection of relevant features to be used for model training. The data is divided into training and test samples to ensure that the model can be related. And as the stage, the selected regression model is trained based on the training sample. Analysis of occurrence of the model using a test sample and a priority metric such as standard errors. And finally, a trained model is used to predict the values on new users based on their data from social network. Now, how calculate a separate needs for all residents? With the help of this model, having received an array of use profile of an individual city, it's possible to calculate the needs of residents of the entire city. To conduct the study, 1918 urban and neighborhood communities were collected using, for example, in St. Petersburg, each community has an open list of subscribes and accurate links to the city. The name and description of the communities, accurate links term to the city and specific area, which allowed us to conclude that the audience for these communities consists personally of residents. By uploading a subscribe of such communities, you can get a digital profile of residents of a particular city or area. Next, using the value model, identify the needs of each profile and summarize them for this entire audience. To calculate total assessment of each need for all residents of the district, we can use the following formula this formula for calculating need for all residents. About forecasting of needs, as noted earlier, is in a situation where city development programs do not take into account the real needs of residents, a process of social contraction may develop. To analyze and identify such of risk, modeling were created out of retrospective data reflecting the needs of citizens for 3 years in order to identify what would happen in the distribution of funding between programs was not adjusted and the old ranked methodology was used. Using the ARIMA method for forecasting needs for the next 3 years, we have identified the needs is expected to grow the most. And based on this analysis of graph historical data was constructed along with forecast values for this very need. About rank of the urban development programs. Now it's necessary to solve the problem of ranking urban programs so that funding is allocated to the high priority programs in the first place and the described order. It's important to know that program can solve several needs, which why calculation is required. To rank city development programs by importance depending on the needs of residents, we can use this formula. The formula allows you to get a list of programs in the order of their importance based on the total importance of needs they solve. Great importance means that the program addresses the more urgent needs of residents. Calculate and about algorithm definition of weight, we assign a weight to each need based on this value. Summation of weight for each program, we calculate the total weight of needs that it solves, and final ranking program ranked in the deciding order the total weight. For example, this on the slide, we can view a distribution of city development programs with rating and show rating of program. In the context of the proposed value-based approach to the management for urban development programs, the key change is method of evaluating effectiveness. Instead of standardization performance indicators such as complementation with planned budget expected diffusion or an increase in the number of infrastructure facility. The emphasis is one and more practical and significant creation, the degree of reduction of unmet needs of the population over time. And about personal data, within the framework of the studies, special attention is paid to issues of confidential and ethical standards regarding the use of personal data. It should be emphasized that is in the process and data collection and analysis, all necessary steps have been taken to ensure the anonymity and security. And in conclusion, in the course of this work, a model of value has been developed, which is significant importance for the sustainable development of the city program of the city. With this model, we can not only identify the needs of residents, but also run development program based on their importance in order to solve primary task first. The agility of the study lies in the fact that the work combines classical methods of sociology and psychology with the modern method of machine learning and automated method of information collecting, open up new prospect for the use of open data for urban management. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, I guess not. So maybe I can ask you, what is like the shortest or the near future further work that you are planning to do, maybe?
I have a problem with communication. Can you print a question in the chat, please? Yes. If it's possible.
Can you hear me now? Okay, I can write. Okay, I will write it. Sorry. Okay, here is the question.
Yes, about the future work. I want to determine the accuracy of the model. And on the next step, I want to use new data from messengers, for example, from Telegram and other data. It's a future step.
Okay, thank you so much. You're welcome. So we can follow with the next presentation. It is called Transformation of Local Communities from Neighbors to Urban Commons in the Production of Social Representations of Space. Alexander Antonov, Galina Gornova, Georgy Konsevic, Leonid Turkov, Vladimir Vorona, and Sergei Mityagin. So Alexander is here, I guess, to present.
Yeah, I'm ready. 1 second.
It's okay.
Well. Do you see my presentation? Is it in dynamic?
Yeah, we can see now. Okay, you can start.
Good morning, or I think good day, dear colleagues. The main topic of my presentation is transformation of local communities from neighborhoods to urban commons in the production of social representations of space. So here we will talk about identity and mainly about the locality of identity. Nowadays, we can maybe view 3 types of identity and 3 types of communities. So first of all, local communities can be seen as neighborhoods. So it is several houses, all of them nearby, one to another. And because of this geographic closeness, these houses will have common themes. But nowadays, with the development of information technologies, of social networks, locality of identity transforms into the 2 more types. So first of all, it is hyperlocal communities. They are more or less than neighborhoods. So they can be maybe streets or they can be districts. The main feature of hyperlocal identity is its high intensity. So if we can review maybe activity of some social group on the territory, on the one territory, one area, with high intensity of messaging in this community or high intensity of communication in this community, then it is a hyperlocal community. And translocal communities, which are the main focus of our research, are not the neighborhoods. Maintenance of identity in these communities depends not on common territory, but on common themes. And communication is supported by social networks. So research question of our work is the following. Communities can be found via common themes, even if they're in different parts of the city, or in other words, different parts of the city may be similar in terms of the projection of their identity through social media activity. Next, we're going to the method. Our method is based on the collection of texts from social networks, extracting of toponyms, geocoding, semantic clustering, and graph modeling. So let's follow it step by step. First of all, our method is adapted for VK VKontakte social network data structure. This structure consists of VK have messaging system and public groups system. We focused on the public group system. So in these groups, there are a place for people's or administrators of these groups posts, large texts with comments which users write under these posts. But about this later. So we collect posts and comics from from Wiki social network. Then we extract toponyms from these texts with the combination of natural entity recognition algorithm based on fine-tuned Ruby-Tiny 2 model and rule-based algorithm from Natasha library. Next, keywords are also extracted from these texts with the keybird algorithm. Next, we developed special semantic graph to model distribution of topics across urban territory. On the third stage, we create this graph, and then we cluster contents of this graph we aggregate them spatially and semantically to evaluate similarity between different locations. For this, we use several algorithms such as HDB scan. So to the toponym and keywords extraction. Our methods is based on the Russian language, but I think that it can be modified to use for other languages too. So as I said earlier, Wiki data from public groups consist of posts, large texts with mostly one theme, and comments to this post, smaller texts in the context of posts. This common context presents the opportunity to apply toponyms from posts. So, for example, street names or names of parks, etc., etc., from posts to corresponding comments to gain more spatial semantic links in the graph later. Rule-based algorithm is used to extract formal or normative toponyms, so it can be a formal address of some house or street. For example, Lensky Avenue house number 8, something like this. And natural entity recognition model with a score of 0.81 is used to extract informal addresses. So in Russian language, in social networks, it is very common not to present the address of some, in texts, it is not common to present it in informal form, but in shortened form. So in our case, it can be Leninsky 8 without address or street or something like this. And then keybird is used also on the BERT family model, is used to extract keywords from each post or comment. So with this approach, each of the texts will have a keyword and corresponding toponym. Next, we are going to the generation of special semantic graph. Here we consider keywords as a short form of topics of the text. And this graph consists of nodes with keywords and nodes with toponyms. So special nodes and semantic nodes. Because of this, special semantic graph. And the edges represent co-occurrence of keywords and toponyms in one text. Because of such structure, we can view consistent connections of two toponyms via keywords as an expression of translocal community. So these maybe two places are connected by common themes. For identification of communities over a large area, we need to aggregate the data. We use two approaches, one for semantic aggregation, one for spatial aggregation. For semantic aggregation, we use BERT topic over a set of keywords to determine groups of topics in the text data. And then geocoded texts, we usually use nominatim geocoder. These texts are aggregated by the hex grid to identify the areas with the most discussion of topics. So we create grid, aggregate points of text in this grid by hexes, and then we use HDP scan to cluster hex by the number of messages, so by the intensity of activity. Next, I will present to you our experiment. The study area of our experiment, these are two areas located in one region on the northwest of Russia. So the first one is city of Vyborg, with 72,000, approximately 72,000 people. We collected information from 5 public groups. And it dataset contains approximately 83,000 texts. And the second area is St. Petersburg with approximately 5 million people. We collect information from 38 public groups, and the dataset contained 270,000 texts. So first of all, we researched Vyborg area. We collected data, transformed it into spatial semantic graph, and visualized on the map. So as you can see, there are 2 main enclaves in the city. One of them is historical, so-called old city of Vyborg. And the second one is on the north, is the newer area, mostly consists of multi-apartment buildings, and it is called Kalininski Rayon. So here, these 2 main areas are connected by common topics, and we can see this connection as spatial via bridges and as semantic via these links. So these 2 areas are connected by common topics for the city, such as Soviet, hotel, city, clean information, and Vyborg is mostly is a city mostly focused on tourists, and this suggests that we are on the right way in our research. So next, there are several smaller areas semantically separated from the main part, and these areas can be of interest to the local decision makers, such as industrial zones on the south and private housing areas on the northeast, such as Kirovsky Dachi, for example. Next, we're going to St. Petersburg, and for this scale, we aggregated the data. So we selected semantic clusters with the highest emotional load. It is crimes, and these are crimes and illegal activities. And we found 2 morphologically similar territories with the highest activity. So these are 2 areas near Udena metro station and metal store area. So Udena is a metro and railroad station, and there are these 2 areas are similar morphologically. So both of them have green areas nearby, some industrial territories, and they are somewhat transport hubs. Both of them express high activity in communities, and they have common themes that show that these territories may be determined as translocal community. So people in these 2 territories of St. Petersburg might find some common topics to talk about. And as in the case of Viborg, these two areas are similar in urban context. So now we're moving to the discussion of our results. First of all, we developed translocal and hyperlocal identity discovery method based on spatial semantic graph. Connection between communities can be estimated with semantic similarity. Next, common topics are usually determined by general urban contexts. It can be natural and anthropogenic, such as in the cases of Viborg and St. Petersburg. And the adoption of this method in decision-making process might give a foundation for more precise prediction of different project results in urban development and management. And all of these methods that we developed in this research, we presented in open library on GitHub. I can send the link to the chat, or you can connect me by this email or by Telegram, and I will discuss our library if you want. So thank you for your time. I am ready for your questions.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Rosario asked you to share the link, I guess. Maybe you can write it at the chat.
Yeah, okay. One moment, please.
Thank you.
Is the GitHub link available at your paper?
I don't remember it. Maybe not, because our project, there are some conditions in this project. I can send a link to the library of our previous project, and later we will merge current methods to it, maybe in 1 or 2 months.
Okay. I mean, it should have been better. It was available there, but at least you got a previous repository available there, right? So
Yeah. So it is like the same methods, but slightly outdated.
Okay. So we got the link. Thank you. Any other questions? If there are no questions, then I'm going to ask you the limitations of your approach and how can you enhance this approach?
Well, about limitations, first of all, we are greatly dependent on the available data. Our method will work in cities with high activity in social groups and high. We need a certain level of quality of texts and activity in these groups. So there are some cities which we are publics of cities which we are found in our research where there are mostly like advertisements and spam in these groups. So we need some amount of quality data, quality texts for this method to work. And about the future work, I think that we will focus on multimodality of this social network content because there are a lot of pictures in these posts that can give us some additional contexts for our method. And also it is possible to use these graphs. They can be very large, and for the analysis of these graphs and for extracting some insights from these graphs, we can use large language models, for example, based on these graphs.
Okay, thank you. Another question, do you plan to apply this to other cities? Because you already have like 2 cities, right? Vyborg and St. Petersburg?
Yeah, for now, in our paper, we researched these 2 cities.
Okay. Are there like any available data and maybe you can follow up with other cities? Because the social part of the data, social media part is maybe suitable cultural-wise
of course,
for other cities?
we can focus and present results for other cities too. Yeah, of course.
But you don't have any plans like that for now, at least.
Well, maybe in another project which in which we take part in my university, there will be some. This method will be used in some way. So we collect information about many regions of Russia, and I think that it can be applied there.
Okay. Thank you so much for your presentation. So we can continue with the third presentation. Maria Rosaria Stefano Mellotti, Stefano Borgo, and Domenico Camarda. City inspection is, for example, from an ontological analysis point of view.
Thank you. Good evening to you. And I'm going to share my presentation. Maybe.
Yeah, it's okay. We are waiting. We have time.
I should find it. Okay. Okay. Here I am. Do you see it?
Okay, we can see it now.
Perfect. So here it's a pleasure to be here and to share with you this step of our research. Okay. Does it work?
Does what work? We can see the presentation and we can hear you.
Yes, it's sliding. Is it sliding?
The slides haven't changed. We are at the first slide.
Not yet? Okay.
Not
I
yet.
go with this format.
Now we can see. You're at the third format.
Maybe it's better on this format. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was saying it's a pleasure to be here to present this step of our research path now. And we work with the ontologies, the applied ontologies to the urban planning and to the city. And here we are presenting as an step, an intermediate step, because we started to explore the research about an urban design, an urban digital twin, and we wondered how to populate it with information about the life in the city, in the places that are going to be modeled by the urban digital twin. So we know that planning for the city and the territory, it is going more and more complex and subtle activity. And we are looking for, of course, different research methodologies or improve the the one that we have at this, in our use now. So we looked at the awareness about the limits of the rational comprehensive planning is now clear. In fact, we see that often this kind of position was leading to blind decisions and to not explore this sometimes, of course, but often it happened to future urban systems. So we know that we have now to improve the awareness of a new and more appropriate, intuitive, and empathic way to get our knowledge about places, and trying to make some choices and decisions more effective and more flexible, maybe, and more conscious, for sure. So we saw in the last year the growing up of different new methods and technological systems, and we see in the city itself, in our environment itself, the new improving of social technical systems that are populating our cities in some way. And we have in our hands new tools like GIS or CAD or sensors in the cities, and now there is the pervasive potential of the artificial intelligence. And we saw that in the last years and months, the digital twin for the city became to grow up as a true hypothesis and as a true model. But we saw that it could be a problem because the urban digital twin, often starting from the industrial world, often refers to data that are from sensors and are from not dynamic situation about the living. So we reflected about this point in our previous work, and now, as I was saying, this is a step forward where we get a link with another reflection of us about the city components that were elicited with an ontological based analysis. And then we intend to, in this twofold analysis we are presenting here, to apply this reflection to a formalization of the role and uses of a place to, in perspective, be able to build an urban digital twin of a portion of the city. We looked at a square for a starting point, that it seems to be an interesting note about the city. Well, a brief reflection about the ontological analysis for the planning activity. We see that the applied ontology offers us a conceptual artifact that can provide a common disambiguated vocabulary, and that can make shareable the knowledge between different agents, humans and non-humans, so even artificial and animals and maybe green entities. So in our previous work, we had this kind of reasoning about trying to elicit these components that we saw in the city. And principally, we looked at three components that were the city place, about the materiality, the physical region of the city. Then the city agentive component, that it is about the agents that are in the city. Okay. And then we saw that the city knowledge component was a very important component we should take in account, because we see that the the substance of the data and of the information has become really, really important and really of substance. So, starting from this point, this analysis, we saw that we were needed to identify another level, another component that was the one of the interaction that makes the reality of the place itself, of the city itself. So we reflected about this fourth component. In fact, we called it a city relation, and for us is a kind of consciousness of the substance of the relation itself in a kind of Leibnizian point of view. Well, we can now talk about the second point. This was the the link, the ring link to the following point, that it is trying to build a formalized image of the social practices that are in a place. In this case, we are looking at a square, as I said before. We linked to a previous work by Calafiore at Guarino, Borgo, and Al, and they started this kind of reflection about the formalization of uses and roles and dynamics in the use of a place. So we already worked with the square as a representative element of the Western city, and we, of course, here it is a very general and brief description. The square is the focal point of life and habits of inhabitants of a city or of a village. Of course, in a city there are many squares, but in general we saw that there always be one square that is maybe the most representative, the most important, even in the uses. Anyway, this is the barycentric point. Anyway, even in a larger city, even not central, very central squares, of course, have this kind of center-pointed reality. In fact, we can see, as analyzed by Calafiore about the market square in Naples, how the different managing of rules can transform the use of a place and of a square in this case, because this square was no more a parking thanks to different rules, and was used as a marketplace, it is used as in a kind of cycle in the week, as a marketplace, as a place where children plays football, and has a place where Muslims pray. And then we can formulate about this some reflection that Calafiore and tried to build on the Dolce ontological foundation. Dolce is a foundational ontology. And then we started to link to this work to build an ontology model of social practices of a place to start the population of an urban digital twin that should not be only let's say, the 3D model of a physical place. But of course, has to be a populated, a dynamic model where to even improve scenarios and to nourish with all these kind of phenomenological situations. So in conclusion, I want to point that this is a intermediate step of this recent path that in perspective should lead us to build a model. We should work on starting from the model that we had from the square in Naples. We intend to apply this generalizing it to other squares and going on to improve this kind of method and verifying it, of course. So thank you for your attention. These are my conclusions. If there are questions, I'm here and happy to answer.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Are there any questions? Alexander wants to speak.
Yeah. Hello. I have one question. It is very interesting that squares can be used in different ways by different groups of people. Can we suggest that this ontology supports like vernacular view of the city, like subjective form of use of some places?
Well, if I understand correctly, the vernacular use is it correct?
Yeah, use of subjective view on a place by different groups of people.
Yes, it's very interesting. This is we didn't use this this word, but anyway, I can see it perfectly fitting in this kind of effort, because the idea is try to elicit all the possibility, all the existing uses and conception of a place. So yes, this is the aim, of course, if I understand the question.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we can continue with the final presentation. Amirkiye Refai, Öztürk, Ezgi Yakşi, Mehmet Aktaş, and Mehmet Yaşar Sungur. The paper is titled Can One Model Fit All? An Exploration of Virtual Lip Syncing Generalization Across Culturally Distinct Languages.
Hello, can you hear my voice?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Since my webcam is broken, I have connected from two devices. One device is for my video and the other for my audio.
It's okay.
So, okay.
Okay. The screen share is okay now. You can start.
Okay. Good day, everyone. I am Amir Kerafi Oskui from Computer Engineering Department of Yıldız Technical University. I'm going to represent my research about an exciting technology called lip sync. Okay. So, in recent years, the progress in high-quality data and powerful computing units has led to a significant boom in neural networks and deep learning. These advancements have influenced various fields of artificial intelligence, including areas such as software engineering, robotics, NLP, and many more. Their diverse applications have changed the way we approach and solve complex problems. One area that has benefited immensely from these advancements is computer vision. In our study, we have focused on the concept of lip sync, which is a critical aspect of computer vision. In this presentation, we will first delve into what lip sync technology is and explore its fundamental principles. Next, we will discuss the concept of face-to-face translation, highlighting its current state to provide a comprehensive understanding of the topic. Finally, we will explain our unique contribution to this exciting field. We hope this presentation will give you valuable insights. So, what is lip sync technology? Let's talk about it first. Lip sync is a fascinating technology used to generate talking heads where the lip movements are perfectly aligned with the accompanying audio. Since the advent of neural networks and deep learning, numerous models with varying capabilities have been introduced. Despite their differences, all these models share a common characteristic. They accept audio and either a video or a single frame as input, and they generate a talking head with the lips that are synchronized with the input audio. In some advanced models, synchronization extends beyond the lips to include, for example, the eyes and head movements as well. In the literature, this process is also referred to as audio-driven talking head generation, as the audio drives the movements of different parts of the face. Lip synchronization, or simply lip sync, plays a crucial role in this process. The mouth area exhibits the most significant motion during facial expression, and it is essential for effective communication. To give you a better understanding, let's watch some example videos.
And then just work like hell. I mean, you just have to put in, you know, 80
Can you hear the audio?
And then just work like hell. I mean, you just have to put in, you know, 80 hours.
Because I cannot.
And then just work like hell. I mean, you just have to put in.
So this is the input video, and the audio is going to drive the lip movements of the source video.
Climate change is the most fundamental and existential threat.
So this is the audio.
Climate change
and this is the lip
is
sync
the most fundamental and existential threat.
As you can see, the lip movements are aligned with this audio.
Climate change is the most fundamental and existential threat.
Okay. So now we have covered what lip sync technology is. Let's move on to the concept of face-to-face translation. This is a groundbreaking technology that has the potential to revolutionize the way we communicate. To the best of our knowledge, face-to-face translation was first introduced in 2020. It involves not only translating the language of the source to the target language, but also translating other aspects of communication. This includes the speaker's voice and their facial motions in the target language. As you can see in the workflow below, several modules can be used together to achieve face-to-face translation. These steps include speech-to-speech translation, voice cloning, lip sync, and optionally video enhancing module. So, just a second. Okay. In this workflow, which we believe can transform communication, lip sync plays a very important role. The mouth area, as you know, shows the most significant motion during a speech, and it is essential for effective communication. Let's take a closer look at these modules and see how they work together to create a face-to-face translation experience. Okay, for example, this is an original video. It says, and just work like hell. I mean, you just put in.
And then just work like hell. I mean, you just have to put in, 80 hours.
Now, thanks to face-to-face translation, we are going to translate all aspects of communication to other languages, for example, Indian. This includes lip syncing, voice cloning, and more.
और बस जमकर मेहनत करो मेरा मतलब है कि आपको बस प्रयास करना है
Or let's see another example in Chinese.
然后拼命工作的意思是你必须付出努力
And finally, Iranian.
و فقط مثل جهنم کار کن یعنی فقط باید تلاش کنی
Okay. So now we have seen the examples of face-to-face translation. Let's talk about its applications. The applications of this concept are vast and incredibly exciting. And this is the reason that we call this technology evolutionary. As you're aware, there has been a significant surge in virtual reality with the rise of metaverse and big tech companies like Meta and Apple introducing various virtual reality tools such as Meta Quest and Apple Vision Pro. Now imagine a scenario where someone from New York is walking through the streets of Tokyo and they meet local people. Both of them are wearing these virtual reality headsets. On one side, the American speaks English, and on the other side, the Japanese person hears Japanese, exactly in the American's original voice, and with the lip movements perfectly synchronized, as the American person were speaking Japanese from the beginning. And this is truly amazing and could fundamentally change the way people communicate. Beyond that, there are other fascinating applications, such as a video conference, what we are using right now, between people who each speak a different language. Or imagine watching a Hollywood movie in your local language, where the actors' facial motions are so synchronized that it looks like they're actually speaking your language. These applications show the transformative potential of face-to-face translation technology in breaking down language barriers like never before. So, in the workflow we discussed earlier, we recognize that each component, such as voice cloning, speech-to-speech translation, and video enhancing, has made significant progress. There are models that range from real-time versions, prioritizing latency, to high-quality models, prioritizing accuracy and quality. However, lip sync technology is relatively new, it's still developing, and is lacking in many aspects. The novelty of lip sync technologies, coupled with the relevance, applications, and the potential they hold, motivated us to conduct this research and address the gaps in the literature. There are many different models introduced in the literature, each with their strengths and weaknesses. This constant evolutions means there is always a need to assess their performance in various aspects. Unfortunately, while most of these models are language agnostic, meaning they can produce talking heads in any language, there hasn't been significant attention to languages other than English. In this study, we first conducted an extensive literature review to identify the best and most capable models. We assessed their performance in languages that have received less attention in the literature. The objective of this study is to assess the performance of lip sync models for languages other than English. Since these models claim to be language agnostic, it is crucial for us to test this claim and see how well they perform across different languages. So, as mentioned before, to create talking faces using these models, we need a video or a single frame and image, and also an audio track that drives the talking head. To achieve this, we prepared a dataset in 3 culturally distinct languages. We then selected the best model in terms of lip sync accuracy, and using this model, we generated videos and subsequently evaluated its performance using both quantitative and qualitative evaluation methods. This approach ensures that we thoroughly assess the model's capabilities and limitations. For our data, We collected around 1 hour of audio for each of 3 languages: Persian, the language which is being spoken in Iran, Turkish, and Arabic. These languages are ancient and are spoken by many people in the Middle East. Given the region's significant economic influence, we decided these languages would be ideal for our test. Moreover, these languages come from different linguistic origins and have unique nuances. This variety allows us to assess whether the models can capture these nuances in languages other than English. For talking face, we generated an avatar of a person using OpenAI's DALL-E model. So, after preparing the dataset, we selected the pioneering Wave2Leap model to generate the talking faces. The strength of Wave2Leap lies in its ability to accurately generate lip movements that closely match the audio. However, one of its weaknesses is video quality, as it was trained on low-resolution dataset. But in this study, we were primarily interested in the accuracy of lip syncing, so we overlooked the video quality. Firstly, a model like Wave2Leap can be trained initially on high-quality videos, which would improve the video quality rates. Secondly, thanks to video enhancing and super resolution models, it is possible to upscale the image quality. For these reasons, we chose Wave2Leap. This model is currently the best on the market in terms of lip sync accuracy, and any limitations in image quality can be addressed, as I mentioned earlier. So we provided our avatar and audio dataset as input to the Wave2Leap, and it generated the videos for us. Wave2Leap uses a GAN architecture, Generative Adversarial Network Architecture. The underlying architecture revolves around the concept of generating accurate lip sync by learning from a well-trained lip sync expert, as outlined in the original paper. The model uses a generator responsible for creating video frames and uses 2 encoders and 1 decoder. The video encoder processes visual information, extracting a latent representation of the face and mouth region. The audio encoder analyzes the Mel spectrogram, capturing audio features. These latent representations from both encoders are combined to generate the video frames with lip movements synchronized to the audio. During the training, the generator minimizes the L1 reconstruction loss between the generated frames and the ground truth frames. To further refine the model and penalize the generator architecture, a pre-trained lip sync expert derived from a modified SyncNet trained on the LRS2 dataset is employed. Finally, to enhance overall visual quality and mitigate issues such as blurry generated lips, a visual quality discriminator with binary cross entropy loss is utilized. So now let's move on to the quantitative evaluation of our study. In lip sync evaluation, metrics can be broadly categorized into lip sync accuracy and visual quality metrics. Established metrics like SSIM, PSNR, and FID are commonly used in the literature to assess overall image quality. SSIM quantifies the similarity between images based on luminance, contrast, and structure, detecting perceptual quality and artifacts. PSNR measures fidelity and noise level, while FID evaluates visual quality and diversity. However, for lip sync accuracy specifically, the Wave2Leap authors introduced lip sync error distance and lip sync error confidence as more suitable metrics. Lip sync error distance calculates the average error between lip and audio representations, with a lower value indicating better audio-visual synchronization. On the other hand, lip sync error confidence represents the average confidence score, where a higher value indicates better audio-video correlation. And of course, lower confidence scores suggest out-of-sync lip movements throughout the video. So we leveraged a pre-trained SyncNet model known for its 99% accuracy to calculate these two metrics. This allows us to assess lip sync accuracy without the need for ground truth videos, solely based on the generated lip sync videos. These metrics provide us with a robust framework to quantitatively evaluate the performance of this model across different languages. So let's discuss the human evaluation component of our study. While SyncNet and WaveTulip are primarily trained English datasets, there may be biases when generating and evaluating videos in languages other than English. To address this potential bias, we conducted a qualitative evaluation by human observers to ensure the robustness of our evaluation methodology. We assembled a group of native speakers for each of these three languages, Persian, Turkish, and Arabic. Each group was shown 3 minutes example videos generated by our models. The evaluators then were asked to rate these videos based on 2 main criteria. First, adequacy, which assesses how well the lip movements match the audio, and secondly, naturalness, which evaluates how realistic and natural the oral presentation appears. In total, 25 evaluators participated in this assessment, providing us with valuable insights. This qualitative evaluation adds an important layer to our study, complementing the quantitative metrics and ensuring a comprehensive evaluation. So now let's dive into the results of our study. Both qualitative and quantitative evaluations reinforce the claim that WaveTulip is language agnostic. Our findings align with the existing literature conducted primarily in English. As shown in the table, our results indicate that some languages, such as Persian, may perform slightly better. However, human observers noted that certain language-specific nuances may not be fully captured by this model. Despite this, overall satisfaction with the lip sync accuracy of WaveTulip was high among the evaluators. To talk quantitatively, our results are also promising. The metrics we used, including lip sync error distance and lip sync error confidence, showed strong performance across all evaluated languages. This reinforces the versatility of WaveTulip in generating lip sync videos across different languages and cultural contexts. Our study highlights the potential of this technology to bridge communication barriers effectively and reliably. Thank you for your attention. I want to thank ActivePoint for supporting this research and providing the necessary environment vital to the success of this research. I would be glad to answer any questions you might have about our work. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Are there any questions? Okay, I'm going to ask you about the methodology that you use. From the first slides on, I mean, you have always used like those standard libraries and tools and everything. So I'm going to ask you, are there any novelty that you have, changed or enhanced? Any enhancements maybe you made on those libraries or like tools maybe?
Okay, first of all, WaveTulip is yes. WaveTulip is an open source model. It is a pioneering model in this field and has been studied a lot. The novelty of our study is testing if these models are language agnostic, because you always, when you read the documentations, they say that this model can work for any language, and it has this amount of accuracy and etc. And unfortunately, in the literature, most works studied this model for only English language. So by conducting both quantitatively and qualitative methodology, we wanted to check this claim is correct or not. So we used a SyncNet neural network, which has the accuracy of 99% to test this model. And another novelty that we have in our work was using human evaluators, because most of these models are basically trained on English language. There might be a bias towards English language. So we find native speakers of Arabic, Turkish, and Persian languages, which was really difficult since we conducted this study in Turkey. It is easy to find native Turkish speakers, but not Arabic and Persian speakers. So we asked them to assess the performance, both in terms of naturalness and adequacy. And finally, we recognized that the claim of these languages to be language independent is 100% correct.
Okay. So I have one more question. Are there any
Sure.
data sets available in the literature that you can maybe compare your method? For example, in English, because the other language for Persian, Arabic, or for Turkish, there may not be any data set available now, but for English, maybe?
Exactly, you're 100% correct. There are data sets like LRS2 data set and Voxelab, which most of the works in the literature compare their model with those data sets. But as I said, the novelty of our work is choosing these languages. So maybe we can this way open the way, and after sharing our data set, different models can also use them to compare our works.
Yeah. And also maybe you can compare your method with English with an English data set, maybe, yeah.
Of course, of course.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you too.
Maria Rosario, the really great comment is for the work of Amirkia or for the GitHub repository? To the method, okay. Here, wow, for Amirkia's work. Thank you, Dan. Nice.
Thank you again.
Yeah. So, by the way, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Birol Çiğolgil, and I'm from Turkey also, just like Amirkia and his colleagues presented from Yıldız Technical University in Turkey. I'm from Ege University, which is in Izmir. So they're from Istanbul, and after seeing them, I recognized that I forgot to introduce myself, because this is like a last-minute replacement instead of Bernardi Bobattuhan. So I found myself here, and I totally forgot to introduce myself. Sorry for that. And thank you all for your participation and all your interaction, communication, feedbacks, questions, and all. Hopefully see you later in other sessions and next year. So we are going to close the session. See you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for your assistance. Bye-bye.